And sugarcane farmers are protesting outside Parliament. They say the industry is at a tipping point due to high import tariffs. Our reporter Tatenda Chiriseri is covering the story, and we go live to the proceedings. Tatenda, hello to you. Good morning, and thanks so much for joining us. Just give us an update, the numbers of the sugarcane farmers that turned up in Parliament, and what are their grievances?
Today, just over 70 farmers that drove all the way from KZN came through at Parliament, and basically their grievances were the fact that they want government to address the fact that they should decrease the number of sugar imports that they bring into the country and give them the opportunity to provide sugar for South Africa. They were also saying that companies, local companies like even international companies like your Coca-Cola and Pick n Pay should get the sugar from them instead of importing from Brazil and your India, hence them losing revenue and losing also farmers. Because they use, if the country keeps importing, then it means that they lose their jobs, they lose basically their way of living.
Tatenda, but also this would speak to a policy reform in changing how business or bilateral agreements in terms of imports and exports work. That is not something that can just be overturned in affording sugarcane farmers some protection against imports.
That's what they went to try and do today in Parliament. As you can see, they went to speak to the committee to try and see what can be done in terms of changing, even if it's the sugarcane bill, to see what they can do to make sure that local farmers are also included in terms of also producing for the country and to also boost revenue.
If you should just give us a sense as to how much we import versus what is exported in the sugar cane industry, and how this impacts on potential jobs that could be created or even manufacturing in the country.
As I was speaking to the SAFTA organizer, they said that the sugarcane industry has decreased from 50,000 farmers to 20,000. So that's quite a huge margin of loss, and for them to keep getting as much as they need more farmers to come back on the markets, hence the problem being addressed by government.
Any other alternatives while we wait for the, I suppose, a cumbersome process of changing laws, etc., before the farmers or sugarcane farmers specifically will see any joy? Are there any prospects of perhaps extending intertrade on the continent where there are opportunities and not necessarily that much competition?
They will only see the change because it's not only, like you said, it's not only the sugarcane farmers that are also affected. It's also poultry and spilling into other aspects of agriculture. So it will all depend on how the meeting today goes as they hand out their memorandum to the committee members of agriculture and the sugar industry.
Okay, so when do we expect some form of a conclusion, the meeting outcomes, and perhaps even timelines?
Basically, they said, when we spoke to SAFTA, they said that they're looking at, after they hand the memorandum, basically after 2 weeks, they want some sort of response, and only then can government decide what to do with this problem that they're facing as farmers.
All right, Tatenda, thank you so much for your time. And that's our reporter, Tatenda Chiriseri, covering that story for us with the sugarcane farmers outside Parliament. They're in a closed meeting now with the parliamentarians to try and see if they can change the policy that will give them some level of protectionism against the high import tariffs, and also give them a greater opportunity to expand their business without the unfair competition as they were putting it. So that's something that we following up